Get in the car.
Ease up, man. Damn.
Watch your head.
Ah!
Oh, my bad.
My bag. Hey, man, my bag.
Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, recently spoke about the future of deep learning supersampling, DLSS, where he mentioned that DLSS will generate in-game assets, such as textures and objects, and DLSS 10 hypothetically delivering full neural rendering. He gave an example of 6 people existing in a video game. 2 of the 6 are real characters, while the other 4 are generated entirely by AI. Yes, AI-driven engines are no longer just concepts. They're here, and they're reshaping the gaming industry faster than we thought. From Google's groundbreaking GameNGen to Tencent's GameGen-O, 2 giants are pushing the limits of what's possible. But how do they stack up? And what does it mean for developers and gamers alike? In this video, we'll take you through everything you need to know, from Google's first experiments with AI-driven Doom to Tencent's revolutionary open-world capabilities. So, let's dive in. So what's Google's GameNGen all about, and why does it matter? What is GameNGen? Last year, NVIDIA's CEO Jensen Huang made a bold prediction. In the future, every single pixel in a game will be generated, not rendered. He gave it a 5 to 10 year timeline. Fast forward just 1 year, and Google's like, hold my coffee. Enter GameNGen. The future is now, folks. According to Google, GameNGen is the first game engine powered entirely by a neural model that enables real-time interaction with a complex environment over long trajectories at high quality. Translation? GameNGen is an AI that generates playable gameplay, no traditional game engine needed. We're talking about high-quality interactive gameplay at 20 FPS, all thanks to a diffusion model that predicts each frame. In essence, Google has birthed the first AI capable of fully simulating a video game, complete with graphics and interactivity. Yeah, it's as wild as it sounds. Current capabilities. If you've ever played the 1993 classic Doom, you know how iconic those 90s graphics are. But here's the kicker. What if I told you there's an AI-generated version of Doom? Yep, you heard me right. That pixelated goodness you see, all of it is generated by AI, trained on the data from the original game. So how on earth does this work? Think of GameNGen as an AI image generator like Midjourney or DALL-E, but on steroids. Imagine generating 20 images per second. Sounds impossible, right? But here's the twist. GameNGen isn't just spitting out pictures, it's generating an entire playable world in real time. It's like if you were watching a Doom movie, but with the added bonus that you're in control. So GameNGen is actually a combination of 2 parts, an RL agent that actually learns the game and collects data based on it, and a diffusion model that predicts and generates the next frame in the gameplay. But wait, there's more. A tweet that caught my eye compares this process to how our brains simulate future events using neural networks. GameNGen works similarly, constantly predicting and generating game features. It's like ChatGPT having a non-stop conversation with Midjourney, producing one frame after another. But don't get it twisted. This isn't some basic text-to-game generator. It's far more sophisticated, using a diffusion model trained on countless hours of gameplay footage. To make this work, the AI, specifically a reinforcement learning agent, had to train itself by playing Doom over and over, learning all the game's ins and outs. Then, using Stable Diffusion 1.4, it started generating the next frame of the game. But here's the catch. This creates a passive version of Doom. The real magic happens when this passive generation is turned into a world model, an AI that understands the entire game environment and can predict what's going to happen next. Whether it's a gunshot, an enemy encounter, or a player entering a new room, GameNGen generates these scenarios in real time. Unlike procedural generation where content is pre-made, GameNGen develops everything on the fly. Mind-blowing, right? The future of gaming. Now, let's be real. The leap from traditional game engines to AI-driven systems has the potential to shake up the $200 billion global gaming industry. Imagine no more manually programmed game logic, just AI handling it all. This could slash development time and costs, making game creation faster and cheaper. Sounds like a dream come true, doesn't it? But before we get too excited, let's pump the brakes a little. One user described this AI version of Doom as the most computationally expensive way to run a 30-year-old game. And for a 20 FPS game, that's pretty far from what modern gamers expect. We're used to 60 FPS minimum. So there are 2 ways to look at this. One is like this user. On one hand, we're in the early stages of something groundbreaking. Sure, 20 FPS isn't great, but watching this technology evolve could be the real thrill. It's like being part of the journey from black and white TV to 4K streaming. On the other hand, remember that line from Jurassic Park?
The scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could that they didn't stop to think if they should.
Some users argue that focusing on running Doom in this way is overkill. like trying to reinvent the wheel with more steps and lower performance. When you put it like that, it does make you wonder if this technology is solving a problem that doesn't really exist, at least not yet. But hey, what do you think? Is this AI-driven future the next big thing, or just a fancy experiment? At the end of the day, AI game generation isn't replacing human game developers anytime soon. The tech just isn't there yet. But these advancements are paving the way for something big. We could see shorter development times, lower costs, and even entirely new genres of games where the world and gameplay evolve dynamically based on player actions. The potential to reshape the gaming landscape is huge, but for now, all we can do is sit back and watch the future unfold. Other potential applications. And here's where it gets even more exciting. GameNGen's potential extends far beyond gaming. Imagine this technology transforming industries like virtual reality, autonomous vehicles, and smart cities. Any field that requires real-time simulations for training, testing, or operational management. Take autonomous vehicles, for example. They need to simulate countless driving scenarios to safely navigate complex environments. GameNGen could process these environments in real time, ensuring vehicles make the right decisions on the fly. The implications are massive, from fully immersive, interactive worlds to real-time adaptations in changing environments. This tech could revolutionize everything from education and healthcare to remote work, making interactive simulations more effective and engaging than ever before. But that's not where the story ends. After the initial excitement around GameNGen, a lot of you had thoughts and questions, and we took a closer look at how far this technology could actually go. GameNGen's future. Getting right into the topic, this one comment caught my eye. And of course, it leads to the question, is GameNGen and AI game development truly the future of gaming? Okay, hear me out on this one. Maybe it's true that right now, it can't completely take over traditional gaming engines. There's no denying that. But that doesn't take away from the fact that the development of GameNGen is extremely significant, not just in the AI landscape, but also in the gaming side of things. Traditionally speaking, creating a game has always been a huge ordeal. Thousands of hours of coding, designing, testing, iterating. Years can be spent on the development of one game. But if AI-driven engines actually do take over this whole process, it becomes way faster and cheaper. In fact, it also becomes a lot more accessible. I mean, someone who has no coding experience or programming knowledge can't create a game right now, but theoretically speaking, these AI gaming engines might open up game development for them too. I mean, imagine if you could create a whole game world by simply describing it in a prompt or sketching a few ideas. This is all that would be required for these AI gaming engines to cook up the whole thing for you. And no matter which side of the debate you're on, you simply can't deny the fact that AI is taking over many different industries, which also includes the creative art field. In fact, Boston University's information systems professor, Do-Kyun Lee, co-authored a paper earlier this year, which examined the ability of text-to-image AI in helping humans create high-quality digital art. This study actually found out that AI has enhanced creative productivity by a whopping percentage of 25%, and even the value of the art by increasing 50% over time as AI is becoming more commonly used. Don't take this study lightly, because a dataset of more than 4 million artworks by more than 50,000 users was actually used to prove this point. You can argue if you want, but it's a fact that AI-assisted products are taking over, and art is no different. And why wouldn't it? Whichever industry you look at, AI has the ability of making the workflow faster and cheaper. Think from a business point of view. Why would you not incorporate it in your work, right? And the same goes for game development. Maybe completely erasing traditional gaming engines is not the only outcome, but for now, it is definitely going to complement the traditional process and make it a whole lot faster. Like it or not, the future is AI. Death of human creativity. But as AI becomes more and more advanced, and is even taking over the creative industry, one question, of course, stays. Is this the death of human creativity? No doubt it's an important question. If AI can do anything, will humans never need to use their brain again? In fact, will humans and their jobs just be completely replaced? Your opinion might differ on this, but personally, I think that in terms of game development, we can't fully rely on AI, at least not yet. In terms of creativity, AI is far behind the human mind right now. I mean, think of it. Even if we use image generators like Midjourney or DALL-E, we are the ones with the creative ideas. We have to tell AI what to generate. And even then, the designs are fairly similar. But in games, we simply can't work with a homogenized look. Think of RDR or GTA or COD. All the really good games of these days, they all have one thing in common. They all have a whole world that looks entirely different. And that is what makes gaming so fun, right? Well, AI simply can't do that right now. And if the gaming industry does start to fully rely on AI right at this day, we may end with overused designs, which means less uniqueness. And let's be real, who wants that, right? Immersing yourself into a whole world in a new game is truly the fun of it all. Of course, it's not just about the gamers, but even the gaming companies wouldn't want that. So don't worry, right now, the human touch in the world of game development is definitely necessary and will definitely stay. Trust me, it can't leave until AI has its own full brain and can channel its creativity like the human mind. How did GameNGen recreate Doom? But you might be thinking, wasn't GameNGen creating its own version of Doom? Isn't that like the AI being creative? Isn't that creativity? Well, to answer your question, let me tell you the steps that it took to recreate Doom using GameNGen. So first and foremost, the Google team needed the AI to generate data. And the thing is, generating complete gameplay videos at bulk using humans was just impossible. So to tackle this, the team used a reinforcement learning-based agent. This agent was trained to play Doom and generate a whole dataset or gameplay videos. Once they had the data, they had to train the generative diffusion model. They started off with a smaller version of a model called Stable Diffusion version 1.4, which consisted of a U-Net-based architecture. This architecture is typically used for generating images from text, and they use this capability to work with the game Doom by focusing on different sequences of actions and frames that the game produces. During this training process, they intentionally added some random noise to the frames to make them less clear than normal. This might be confusing. Why would they intentionally ruin their own game, right? But this was actually done so the model could learn how to fix these noisy images. As the model learned to fix it and recover the original images from the noisy ones, the model became better and better at generating stable and clear images during the gameplay. Lastly, the team fine-tuned the game using a latent decoder. The Stable Diffusion 1.4 model that they pre-trained actually consists of an autoencoder, which is specifically designed to compress images into smaller and simpler versions while ensuring that no important information is lost, which is referred to as latent representations. In this specific scenario, it takes 8 by 8 pixel sections of the game image and compresses them into 4 different channels. However, when the model tried to create new game frames, it sometimes produced unwanted glitches that were quite visible as well, especially in small details of the game. Maybe these glitches weren't that huge of an issue, but they do make the images and gameplay look a lot less realistic. So, to fix these issues, the team focused only on the decoder part of the autoencoder. This decoder was responsible for turning the compressed information back into full images without any glitches. So, as far as the creativity topic goes, the whole process is based on feeding the AI a whole lot of gameplays. Humans had to take the first step and teach the AI the world of Doom. You can't say the AI came up with the whole design or the world. It wasn't the AI's creativity. What the AI did was take the previous gameplays, learn how the game works, and generate a new gameplay as the player goes on, without many creative ideas of its own. It's like having an intern. You can get things done that you teach, but you don't really get a whole new thing. That's the level of AI right now in terms of game development. And of course, this whole process from data generation to encoding, I'm sure you can tell it was all quite lengthy. But hey, as long as it was, it did all turn out well, didn't it? I mean, say what you want about GameNGen and AI in gaming, but the team did manage to make the game look pretty realistic. I mean, even generating new content when the user enters the room and killing animations. This whole AI-generated game is pretty realistic as far as OG Doom standards go. I mean, even if you've played Doom all your life, you probably won't be able to recreate every little detail as well as this AI did. That's where AI beats the human mind. It's memory. Not much on the creativity front, though. However, even then, some of you may still describe all this as a waste of computing power. But then again, as this user pointed out, what game isn't a waste of power, right? Impact on the gaming industry. Enough about the cons, though. This advancement does have a lot of positive impacts on the gaming industry, too, that have gone unnoticed. Well, one is, of course, the reduced development cost and time that I've already pointed out. But even other than that, if GameNGen and AI gaming engines do get more popular, it improves the realism and interactivity of games by a huge extent. I mean, GameNGen can generate game frames in real time. This means games can become much more realistic and interactive than ever before, thus completely changing the way video games are experienced. Moreover, it also increases the extent of customization and adaptability in game development significantly. The creation of AI gaming engines means that games will be able to adapt in real time, completely based on player actions and preferences. This opens up a completely customized gameplay for each player, thus creating a much more immersive and unique gaming experience for each player. It's benefits like these due to which the Google team is particularly optimistic about the potential of GameNGen and AI gaming in general. Sure, there are downsides and limitations to it right now, but the possibilities that lie ahead are huge. I mean, can you even imagine generating a whole video game by just typing a description or providing a few images? This might soon become the reality. Maybe not right away, but it definitely is the near future. For now, maybe AI hasn't fully taken over gaming, but as this user said, it definitely has taken over YouTube. There's no doubt about that, but taking over YouTube isn't just about clickbaits or for content. The fact that it is taking over the internet only means that AI is in fact slowly but surely creeping into every aspect of our life. And gaming is definitely on that list. But while everyone was focused on Google's progress, another tech giant was working quietly behind the scenes. Enter Tencent with GameGen-O, an AI engine that's poised to take open-world gaming to a whole new level. But what exactly is this new engine? How does it work? Is it truly a revolution? Well, stick with us, because that's all on the menu today. What is GameGen-O? Imagine you're playing a game you like, anything that comes to mind. You're walking around the world. Let's say you're in GTA. Now, GTA isn't exactly a fantasy game where you can make anything happen, is it? But what if you could suddenly make it snow in the GTA world? Now, I know GTA adds snow during the holiday season, but you can't exactly turn it on whenever you want, right? What if you could randomly have snow? I know what you're thinking. That's impossible. Well, not anymore. Now, you could simply say, I want it to snow, and boom, there you have it. You're suddenly walking around a city filled with snow. That's what GameGen-O is. It's like magic. It takes gaming beyond the pre-programmed storylines we're so used to, and it opens up a whole new world of infinite, dynamic experiences. Can you even imagine just how different GTA would be if you could control the weather or the characters, or even time itself? What would you change first? But before all these magical changes, you might be wondering where exactly this suddenly came from. Now, if you're a gamer, I'm sure you know what Tencent is. PUBG, League of Legends, Call of Duty Mobile. These are all games developed by Tencent, and this is the same company that is behind GameGen-O, which they have described as the first AI diffusion transformer for open-world video game generation. Before we get into all the nitties and gritties of how it works, let's take a quick look at its trailer, so we know what we're getting into. GameGen-O is actually the first ever diffusion transformer model, which is specifically designed in a way that it can generate open-world video games. I know that sounds a bit technical, but in simpler terms, this is an AI that can generate open-world games in real time right in front of our eyes. I remember the first time I played Red Dead Redemption 2 or even Assassin's Creed. I was actually amazed at how great the visuals and details of the world were, as I'm sure you all must have been too. But now imagine if these details could change any way you wanted in real time. That is what GameGen-O is bringing to the table. We're talking about a whole new way of creating video games, something we could never have imagined before. For as long as I can remember, gaming has been all about years of coding and creating assets. I'm sure all gamers remember how Cyberpunk 2077 took more than 9 years to finish coding. To this day, it shocks me a little bit that a team spent that long to perfect a game. Well, no more. With GameGen-O, AI is doing all of it, or at least most of it. This potentially means that a game that would have previously taken years of coding can now be created in a few hours. Crazy, isn't it? But I'm sure everyone is wondering, how exactly is it different from traditional game engines like Unreal or Unity? Well, for one, traditional game engines have always made use of elements that are pre-programmed, but GameGen-O isn't just spitting out pre-programmed environments, elements, or characters. In fact, it actually simulates everything and creates them on the fly. Think of it. Dynamic environments that can change over time. Innovative characters that can respond to your commands in real time. Diverse events and complex actions, all generated from scratch by AI. It does it all, thus pushing the limits of what we thought was possible in gaming. How it all started. An AI engine that can potentially take over all traditional game engines as we know it. This makes us wonder, how exactly did it happen? Well, it didn't just pop out of nowhere. In fact, Tencent invested some serious time and effort to get this AI engine off the ground. And don't be mistaken, the team didn't just throw in a couple of game clips into a machine and hope for the best. If only it was that easy, right? They actually compiled a massive data set, something they called O-Game data. This was a massive data set specifically tailored for open-world video games. And when I say massive, I truly do mean it, because this dataset included 32,000 raw videos from many different sources, including the internet and game engines. The clips are diverse, ranging from a few minutes to several hours of gameplay, and in total, 4,000 hours of gameplay. And the best part? This dataset includes over 100 open-world games, from GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2 to racing games. The Tencent team then filtered these clips down to about 15,000 usable videos, all of which were broken up into smaller clips. But that's not all. After that, these clips had to undergo scene detection, which means the AI basically sorted through all the visual and gameplay elements, ranking and scoring in a way that only the best of the best makes it through to the next stage. What was the next stage, you ask? Well, adding detailed annotations, which included a human expert who was labeling all these clips and all their details, from everything in the environment to character actions. But on top of that, they also used GPT-4 and other multimodal language models to improve these annotations even further. The result? A highly interactive dataset, also the core of GameGen-O. This means that when we say GameGen-O can generate its own gameplay, it isn't just winging it. It isn't just generating random content. In fact, this model is trained on some top-tier content, which means it is capable of simulating visuals and gameplay as great as Red Dead Redemption in just a few minutes. For as long as we can imagine, gaming has been all about one unchanged world that you go through. But now, this AI can create and change the world we're in however we want. That's why we say, welcome to the future of gaming. The training process. But there's a lot more that went in towards the development of GameGen-O. In fact, the real? It happens during the training process, which includes two major parts, foundation pre-training and instruction tuning. Okay, so first, foundation pre-training. In this stage, the team focused on compressing the video clips by making use of an autoencoder. This encoder was adapted in a way that made it perfect for the gaming domain, which means that it is capable of handling the many unique challenges that come with generating game-like content. This stage is where the model learned to generate text to video content. Essentially, what this means is that after this stage, GameGen-O learned how to take a simple text prompt and turn it into a fully rendered open-world video, for example, like in these examples. Not just that, but GameGen-O can also take an existing video and continue it in a way that makes it perfect for open-world game generation. But of course, just generating videos isn't enough to make it a game, is it? Well, that's where the second stage comes in, instruction tuning, which is where things get interactive. At this point, GameGen-O knows how to generate high-quality video clips, but it still needs the power to respond to inputs. That could be text prompts, operation signals, video prompts, basically any sort of input you can give while gaming. This part is what actually gives the engine the interactive control ability. GameGen-O doesn't just generate content passively, like other AI text-to-video generators, but rather, it can also respond and adapt to changes based on what's actually happening in the game. This is why instruction tuning is such an important step, because it means you can input something like, make the sky cloudy, or make it snow, and the model will go ahead and do it. You can really go ahead and do anything you want. It really makes Sims modding look like a child's play. Also, you can go ahead and ask the model to move the character forward, and it will go ahead and update not just the character, but also the environment in real time, which is how you play the game. Game changer features. Okay, so we know about the vast data set and the training process, but one big question of course remains. What exactly can it do? I mean, if just generating real-time AI content isn't enough. So, we all know it was trained on a large data set of different games. So of course it has the capability to generate high-quality videos of characters we've already seen, like maybe Geralt of Rivia from The Witcher. Take a look at this video, but forget about simply loading up a character model that already exists. GameGen-O can even create its own new characters. Imagine it. You can create your own game and any dream character you've wanted in games. The only limit? Your own imagination. Do you want a cyberpunk monk whose weapon is nunchucks? You got it. A vampire who rides a horse? You got that too. With this amazing character creation capability comes a whole new list of possibilities for players and developers, enabling anyone to build a detailed world with all new characters. So, what will be the first character that you create? But you know what's even more exciting than the character creation? It's GameGen-O's ability to generate dynamic, immersive, and ever-evolving environments. A desert landscape, a flower field, a futuristic, neon-lit street, a stormy beach. Anything is possible. In fact, take a look at this video from Min Choi on X. Just look at how realistic the tsunami environment looks. Or look how amazing this spring environment looks. You can generate any sort of environment you want, and the AI handles it all in real time, which means that every action you take can have an impact on the next one, thus making the gameplay a lot more unpredictable and interactive. Everything we love in a good game. The future of gaming. All sounds good, but last time we talked about AI-generated gaming, it was Doom from GameNGen from Google. It was pretty cool, but it didn't really seem ready to take over the gaming world right away. But with this new development, the answer to the question might change. Here's the best part of it. GameGen-O isn't just something massive development teams can use. Small teams or even solo developers can make use of it and build high-quality games in a lot less time than ever before. But here's the catch. What about intellectual property? I mean, at the end of the day, the AI is trained on older games. So let's say you create a game and your main character is inspired by The Witcher, or maybe even your environment is similar to it. So who actually owns this game? You, the developer, Tencent, the AI model? How does this work legally? And if this does take over, is it the end of originality in gaming? This is a question that the gaming industry has not yet addressed, and could be a hurdle in this process right now. But there's one thing we know about AI. It keeps expanding. It keeps getting better. Maybe, for now, we can't fully interact with every game element in real time, but with time, it will be fixed. Maybe, there's no legal talk yet, but with time, the dataset can be expanded, and the AI model can become more capable of originality and bigger things. We know it's going to update and improve, and when that happens, it means that any creator can create games that are on the same standard as industry giants, like Rockstar Games. Even other than GameGen-O, we already have even bigger things happening, like the launch of Wonderworld, which not only creates an AI-generated environment, but also dynamically changes based on your movement. So maybe soon enough, we're also getting a fully AI-generated virtual reality game. And while this technology sounds incredible, we've got to wonder, will AI start stealing creativity from developers? Or does it unlock endless possibilities? I personally think that with AI, it's not the end of creativity, but rather pushing the limits of how creative we thought we could be. So, what does the future hold for AI in gaming? Will it be Google's pixel-perfect frame-by-frame approach that wins out? Or will Tencent's dynamic real-time world creation set the new standard? One thing is clear, AI is going to transform game development in ways we can't even imagine yet. But I want to know what you think. Which of these engines do you see shaping the future of gaming? Let's continue the conversation in the comments below. And if you like this video, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our deep dives into the latest tech innovations. Until next time.